welcome to another edition of the Aloha Pools and Spas Deep Dive Podcast. And today we've got something a little bit different for you. It's just Brad and I here. And I know you've all seen like on the Tonight Show and things like that where they read the mean tweets. And these are not necessarily tweets. I don't even think they have tweets anymore. They're X's. What do they call those now? They still call them tweets?
Interesting. Yeah, I think they still refer to them as mean tweets.
Okay.
This is also mean tweets edition or the very painful edition.
So we did some surveys, and these are actual responses from real customers that we've received. And
yeah, you know, the quality of what we've done, or I should say it another way. The intent of the surveys is to get the feedback in as real time as we possibly can, and then turn around and do something about it. And because you think you know the business and you think you know how customers are, and we've got a lot of great reviews, but I think sometimes people are nice and they hold it in, that they don't want to give us the scathing reviews, and there's some that give us the scathing reviews that we deserve. I would think 9 out of 10 times, or 99 out of 100 times, that we deserve.
now, are these anonymous? The surveys?
So what we did was we took this 160 something surveys, and the way that it printed out on the spreadsheet, it was almost impossible to absorb with with my ADD and all the other things I've got going on. I read enough to know that it's extremely important to understand them all, and I got enough of especially the bad ones, and a lot of them were focused in one category, and it was enough for me to say, okay, well, let's address this. Let's talk about the proverbial elephant in the room, and talk about it. And because the idea of a survey is when I send the survey out, I say, I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm looking for ways to improve.
Right.
And so by doing that, people were gracious enough to give me some ways to improve. And we'll face the ugly truth and talk about maybe what we're doing to try to fix that.
Before we jump into it, I do want to give a shout out to Pat, or our very own Pat GPT, I guess you could call it. It's not AI. She,
Pat Baker, right?
She actually took all the surveys and compiled them and put them in a spreadsheet and separated them from, these are good, these are bad. This
Right.
This is about construction. This is about retail. This is about, she separated them all and made them, parsed them where we can actually consume them.
But so I think the pre sorted version is what I uploaded to ChatGPT.
Right.
And it basically, I have a reduced or summarized version of a lot of the results of the survey. So without further ado,
let's go into segment one here. Let's talk.
And I'm going to say that, just, you can edit this out if you want, but we may want to edit some of this because some of it is outdated. Some of it is.
Or we could just address it as you go and say, we fixed that.
Yeah.
We've how we addressed those, how we made those differences.
Exactly. I agree 100%. So, it has not been rehearsed. The first one is, I had to reach out multiple times just to find out when they were coming. I spent thousands of dollars and still had to chase them down for updates. And I'm going to say that they're absolutely right. Because what happens is, we get extremely busy, and when a salesperson sells a product, especially like on an above ground pool or semi in ground pool, there's not a lot of work that they have to do in order to get the job ready for the construction department. Basically, the financing goes pretty quickly. There's not a lot of site visits and drawings and all, because we ask the customers, due to the price of the pool, to try to keep the price really competitive, we give them flags, and they say, put this flag where the center of the pool goes, put this flag where you want the filter system to go, where you want another flag for where the dirt goes, and I know there's one more. Oh, and put this flag out for the sand guy to deliver the sand where it's okay for him to put the sand, and we ask for it to be close to the pool. Not a lot of work for the salesperson, but so the above ground pool and the semi pool gets sold, and then it gets in line, and the customer has to get the pool paid in full first. So there's some issues like that that have to be resolved before we go and build the pool. But the timing is basically you buy the pool and then you wait your turn to get it built. And there's nobody in the office, at least last year, that has any idea of when that's going to truly happen. And it's a little bit of a little bit of a balancing act. Well, last year we had Ashley in the office doing way too many things. And we try to keep everything as affordable as possible and not just throwing another person into the mix after, you know, just to take care of that between time of construction and build. So we loaded Ashley down, and it got too much. It got to be too much, and we kind of missed the mark on this. So now we have, and this is where Jamie needs to be because he's been helping me day in and day out to try to fix this one problem here. But now we've got a project coordinator that is helping out on the jobs, and we're asking for Ashley to be relieved by the project coordinators in the in-ground pool process, so she's better able to stay in contact with the homeowners along the way. And
Which
so,
streamline the internal communication process.
yeah, and you'll see we may have to skip over some of these and edit some of these because some of it is going to be a little bit repetitive because there's a maybe a dark hole. I think maybe there's one mention. I did read over these a little bit last night. There's a little bit of a dark hole where people go to wait till their pool is in line to be built. So I don't know that in the absolute busiest time of the year that we're going to nail that 100%, but we're surely going to give it our absolute best.
I don't know how important it is. Like, I think that that's part of the reason why we do this kind of stuff is because it's to show the customer, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. We
Yeah,
This happens with every customer. There's a certain period of time where you're just in line, you know,
yeah,
and everything's completed, you're ready, and the only thing that you're waiting for is to be next. And it might be that, you know, as we're building, we've got, 10 pools ahead of you or whatever, and you just got to wait a couple days or, you
yeah.
know,
And it's also impossible when you're in construction to know uh, exactly when, if everything, because there's another one. I'll hit on that here in a little bit, but it's hard to know because we don't know if we're going to hit a water line that
oh yeah,
wasn't marked, and we have to get off the job and then go back, and or it could be parts missing from the manufacturer that we have to wait on, or we have to go back, and it slows us down. And I will tell you, and I think it's human nature for people to look at the best possible scenario and give that because people think they can build more than they can build. Or I had the owner of Mr. Trollinger of Trollingers in Paris, Tennessee, told me
hmm
one time these guys would come in wanting credit and they would say, "Man, you got to give me credit. I make $300 a day." And he said what they made is $300 a day one time, and now they think they make
right,
300.
right,
So we built 8 pools one week, and now we think we can do it every week or whatever,
right.
and we don't budget in time for mishaps. So and also we've got better track on that now. We
Yeah, we
we
had Case on and actually talked all about the process with him.
yeah,
If you find, a little bit about how we do the semi and the above grounds and how long it takes him, and he's
yeah,
trying to get that faster in some cases. And
yeah, and and there's ways for us to get another gear, but anyway, that had to reach out multiple times. We're working on it. Okay, I promise you. All right, and so far this year, I haven't heard that type of feedback, and I try to keep. I watch all the reviews. I watch all the survey results, and so far so good. But it's as of this is April 21st, 2026. So we'll see sometime in June how we're doing. How about that? All right. Uh, Not one person connected to Aloha told the truth or did quality work. Okay, I I'm just gonna I'm just gonna flat out deny that. Now, and I would say that, but and here's why: I'm not going to say that nobody, but we live on the truth, even if it hurts. And I will tell somebody that I would rather you own your mistakes and not tell lies. And I think that we have the body of work to prove that. I've got the customer base that uh, uh, will go to bat for me on that. That well, I don't I don't accept lying. And if there's somebody in our company that is not aligned with that ideology, they're going to need to get in line. I mean, that's not acceptable. And I'm not going to say that. I guess I shouldn't say that this is not true, but if it is true, we've definitely got some work to do because
It does seem like hyperbole to say not a single person that they ran into.
well,
You know,
hey,
it's once you upset someone,
yeah,
you know, that it starts to feel that way.
hey,
Certainly.
it's mean tweets, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is. But you've been here for a while. I mean, you'll vouch for me, right? I mean, I'm paying you to say this, right?
No, no. Honestly, this is, you know, through all the trainings we do and the podcasts and everything, we look behind to see how the sausage is made way more than most of the companies that I've ever worked for in my
Yeah,
entire life, giving that those customers the opportunity to see behind the curtain and see the wizard and to actually
right.
understand. You know, no company is perfect, but I definitely think that I'm proud to work here.
I obsess over it. I don't mind telling you. I was on the phone with two different customers yesterday, trying to make sure they were taken care of. Not as a result of nobody telling a lie or whatever, but or somebody telling a lie. Okay, we felt tossed aside once we signed a contract, which is a similar statement as the first one that we
Right.
made. Yeah, the contract salesperson sells and does their job and it's done, and then you wait in line. So we're really trying to get better at saying, hey, I see that you got a pool, your number X in line, and get that communication down between the sale and the build. And I'll tell you, it's not easy because we have almost like a full time job, and especially I do. And I've sold actually four pools this year so far, and I find myself thinking, you know what, I haven't talked to this person in X amount of time, and I just have to check in. I feel like checking in, but the busyness of the day, taking care of what's in front of you,
Right.
I get it, and so we're working diligently to get better at that. And I'm going to say, fingers crossed, it's working. Uh, they left they left trash, tools, and even mud in the street. I had to clean it up myself. Okay,
Ouch.
yeah, I know what that hurts. Probably happened too. In fact, I'll tell you, 3 weeks ago, I had a similar complaint. Um, and basically, what happened is the guys got rained out, and the rain just came down so hard that they left everything in the yard. I'm sure it looked like a yard sale of our equipment on that. And they left, and I don't know about the mud in the street, but that's just something that we've got to get better at. And I don't know exactly if this was. See, what I hate about this is the summarization. I don't know if that's an in-ground
Right.
pool or semi-in-ground or above ground, and if it was the guy that we hired to dig the pool that did it. Regardless, though, and I have to say, quite frankly, I've just got to take this and say, like, I want to text the guys right now saying, "Hey, don't leave mud in the street. That should be a no-brainer
Yeah.
type of thing to do." But wow, can I just do that right now?
Go for it.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah, it's gonna
I'm sorry.
actually
I'm sorry.
and just be like, hey,
Well,
make sure when we leave,
yeah,
which, you know, the mud in the street, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine how upset I would be about somebody leaving mud and it's
uh,
not
it's
on my property. It's not on my,
yeah.
you know,
Actually, I remember being in Jonesboro getting called down by the neighborhood or the city about it, and it was in
how
the
do you
spring. In
fix it?
spring, it's miserable to work, and you can leave a long track of
Right.
mud going down the street
How do
and
you
have
fix
that
that?
group. I guess really you just have to get out with shovels and
And just kind of scrape it off where the
shovel it off. Yeah, because the trucks leaving will track out. You've got three or four trucks that deliver sand and rock, and then you go in and out with your equipment, and it's a big mess.
Probably
Really,
piles up
so
quite a bit.
yeah,
Yeah, that
for
would kind
sure.
of suck to drive through
So,
repeatedly.
yeah, hold on just a second. Hey guys, just a reminder, I'm reading some survey results, and there is one person complaining about mud being on the street that they had to clean up themselves, and I really don't want people to have to say that about our company. Period. I'm actually doing this while on a podcast talking about it, and it's pretty freaking embarrassing. So I'd appreciate your help and helping us get some sort of process where at the end of the day, we make sure we don't leave a mess out there for customers. Period. Thank you.
And he just sent that to the construction thread on our internal
Are
communications.
you on that? On Connect?
I am, because I
Connect
see where
Teams?
we
Are
can
you?
film. I
Okay.
see what we could do, and
Right.
and I see when it comes through as well to verify that it's
He's
real.
living proof, you guys. Right? Okay. They love trash and the tools. I get that. It's and by the way, it's a construction job. I mean, what I don't want them to do is bury the tools. I don't want I don't want that to be a parting gift.
Right.
I want them to bring them home eventually. But if there's some tools out in the yard, we do ask that they clean the job up at the end of the day, and we also ask that they take our garbage bags that we supply and don't leave any garbage, with the exception of above ground pools and semi in ground pools. And
Okay.
the reason is we try to get that as the most competitive price that it can be. And typically people have garbage pickup, and we can take that to the street for them, or we leave it in a. Basically, what we do is we take the filter box and then the pool boxes, and then we put all the pool boxes in the pump
When you
boxes.
say pool boxes,
Well, okay, like the above ground pool kit comes in 3 or 4 boxes.
okay,
All right, and then a lot of times you can nest them into one another, and then nest that into the filter box, which is the biggest box, and leave it, and then tape it all up, and then either take it to the road for the people, or a lot of our customers are rural, and
yeah, I just burn it.
They burn them. Yeah,
I burn
so,
cardboard and
yeah,
sticks and wood and things, paper.
and because every little thing adds up in cost, and certainly wouldn't mind to look at take a dumpster out here and then price out the cubic footage of the.
Yeah. Do we offer that with the customers if it's a trash, or like as an addition? If I want to just make look, I don't want to fool with it.
On an
will you take it
on an in-ground pool? We do.
Okay.
We bring it out, and we don't actually do that on an above-ground pool. But I'll say that as we go through here, we should see some other things that we have changed that help based on some feedback. Like you said, do we offer that? Well, we should start offering that. I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
guess
if I don't want to fool with it, I'm getting an above ground pool, and I say, hey, what's it going to cost me to have you haul that away, and I absorb the cost of it.
Yeah.
It seems like that's reasonable.
I think it's worthwhile.
Not to put you on the spot on the camera or anything.
No, hey, I think it's a great idea. If you put me on the spot too much, I can always say, "Hey, John, would you edit that out?" That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty embarrassing, I'll tell you. This whole thing is because it's try as we might, and as many happy customers as we have.
Right.
Yeah, we're always going to try to get better, and that's what I wake up every day, living, breathing, eating, sleeping, and drinking,
and swimming.
Hey, yeah, that's
soaking.
exactly right. Okay, so we've got to make a note. We've got to make a note here that we're going to offer. When I put that,
I'll remember if nothing else. When I go to edit this,
Hold on.
I'll be like, oh yeah, I should remind Brad of the time that.
It's a good idea. Are you going to really do that though? Oh, Pat, she'll do it.
There we go.
Hey, we need to come up with a program for hauling garbage off for above ground pool and semi in ground pool owners.
You're seeing in real time how we're reading the surveys, we're seeing things, and then we're coming up with ideas, and we're fixing them internally, but in a way externally. You're again, this is how the sausage is made. They're watching in real time.
They're
changes.
inside my mind right now. They're begging to get out.
That's how it works. I probably get 30 texts a day of, we ought to film this or start doing that or do some training on,
People say that I'm
so next survey question. What
yes.
response?
I sent pictures and messages and got no response. Okay.
Same kind of thing.
It is. It truly is. And I think what they're talking about is it going into Service Titan, and Service Titan is our service software and not our construction software. But we use it as both because once people enter into service, once our customer data enters into Service Titan, then those pictures that they're sending in and nobody is responding to is now permanently in their file, so we can refer to them forever. And also the text is permanently in their file, and also any phone calls that they make to that phone number is recorded and it's permanently into their file. So the I'll back up and I'll give props to the service team. We've got 4 people in the service admin, and that being said, we're still currently missing calls, and so I've got Jamie working tirelessly, trying to figure out how in the world we could miss a phone call, and it's frustrating for everybody. And it's April and May for the most part. In June, things start tapering off, and
Right.
so I always tell people that it is impossible for me to staff for me to staff year round enough people to handle the load for 2 months.
Right now you need 20 people, but in 2 months you're going to need 4 again.
Right. Yeah.
And then so that doesn't make sense.
And then in December and January, I'm going to need 1, maybe.
Right.
But I'm going to have 4. Right. And I feel like at this point we're going to have to keep a solid 4 people in that service office.
Now, I take some responsibility for the service calls.
Well, and I blame you.
Yeah. This last month, because in the flyers that went out,
oh yes,
I forgot to put. Well, I didn't forget. Everybody, we all looked at it, and I guess for whatever reason, the only phone number in there, there was website URL, there were QR codes, there were all these other ways to contact us, but the only phone number that existed was the one to service. So everyone decided to call service at that moment, and
do better, John.
Yeah,
Could you just do better?
Right. I don't have anyone to text and say, Tess, maybe, some of the.
Hey, John, do better.
I will. So next survey answer.
All right. We spent thousands. So this is a really good one. We spent thousands and no one showed us how to use the equipment. Okay. So when we build an above ground pool, we try to these pools are anywhere from $7,000 to probably $15,000 at the most, and that's a lot of money. But when you look at the amount of exposure and meaning the amount of liability and the amount of profit or the lack of profit there is, we've always made it where the customer comes in and they get their pool training at the store because they need to come in and bring water in and get their water training at the store.
Right.
But at this point, after hearing that several times that nobody showed them how to take care of the pool, the thing that we came up with is offering a pool school for a price, on-site pool school, because somebody's going to have to. You got to wait till the pool gets full. Well, by the time the pool gets full, the builders and a lot of times our builders are more qualified to build than they are to tell people how the pool works. So I'll have to send somebody else out there and give them a training if they want an on-site training. So we've come up with a couple of things. One is a FaceTime training where somebody can get us on FaceTime and we can walk them through. And I think there's a way to record on FaceTime, record a call on FaceTime so they can reference that. Is that? Do you think
I'm not sure about FaceTime. FaceTime, yes. I was thinking like Facebook Live or whatever. You can absolutely record.
Do better.
You can absolutely record on Face. I immediately thought of Facebook for whatever. Everything's face this, face that.
Right. And,
we can absolutely record that.
Right.
They could. We could do. A Teams meeting for that matter.
Exactly. And last year we started doing a poolside know-how class, and Lisa, our pool guru, she teaches it every Saturday at a location.
Right.
And
that's all posted on social media. We make sure to announce where all the locations are. when she's coming up, and it's like an event.
Is it available on a Teams meeting where customers can get on a Teams meeting?
Not
Oh,
yet.
you know, I got the phone up here, right? Because I'm going to tell you to do
Yep.
better again.
Yep. Not yet. We are working on that. I got to get with Lisa this
Mhm.
week, and we're going to try to make sure that's. I just got to get her
Ha-
schooled up.
Have you recorded one?
No, the day that we started to, the weather was not permitting. The weather forced us out. I don't know if you're
This is indoors.
if you
This is
live
an indoor class. I'll
well,
have you know.
but she
Couldn't
wanted
get
to
here.
do it out near the pool filter,
Okay.
all that. Anyway,
Oh, that's fair.
we're on it. I'm on it.
All right.
We're gonna get that taken care of. But
Well,
there
you
are
heard it here.
pre-recorded videos already in our pool school. You can find them on our
Yeah.
website.
On our
You can
website.
find them on our YouTube. You know,
I'm going to
so
set this phone down.
there's several
Right.
opportunities for customers to
I'm
learn.
taking a lot of heat here. I'm trying to.
I know.
I'm trying to
I'm with
defer
you.
a little bit
I'm
to- yeah,
sweating
I'm
over
glad
here.
you are. Because I'm sweating too. All right.
I'll turn these lights down a little. I don't know.
Do not sell pools until you can actually execute the build with quality and customer care. Well, you know what? I will say I will argue the quality and customer care because we have the no. I'll argue the quality till the end of time because if there's something that is not right, we always fix it given the opportunity. And the customer care thing is a lot of exactly what we're talking about. But the title of this is called overpromising. I don't mind telling you that is I'm going back to the guy who makes $300 a day. He made $300
Right.
one, and our inability to it seems like to practically gauge how long it's going to take for us to get to a job. And I'll say this year it's been a very dry spring, and we're not having that as an issue.
Right.
But last year it was a miserable spring.
What
and
they say, like a 50-year or 500-year rain.
It
Like
was.
we had.
Last year we had and last year was the year that we did the surveys. The first year we did the surveys, and we're continuing them, by the way. But yeah, last year we had all the rain of a typical year by the half year.
Yeah.
And I think by the half year, by July 1st, it was already the full year's worth of rain and then some. So it was a tough year. We've had a good spring from weather wise, so we may not hear that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're getting better.
And we
at
get.
that.
I would say on something like this, I get it. You know, the customer, your feelings are valid. We hear you, and me being a marketing guy, looking on the outside of how they handle things, though, I do see how they take these comments seriously, and it hurts. And they try to fix. They're constantly trying to fix things. So that's part of what doing the surveys, and then there's no point that Brad had to expose all the surveys and of course all the negative ones. We could have got on here and just read, we could have had the girlies back to
Right.
talk about how awesome, Aloha is and
Right.
how all the good things and everybody, but to be able to come on and say, to read the negativity and then to say, we're addressing these things. We don't want more of this.
Right.
We would love to just be able to say, hey, all the feedback's positive. That's never going to happen in a company this size. There's always going to be somebody that has an issue, but it's going to be fixed. It's going to be taken care of. I'll let you continue. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
I just like talking.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
very
what's wrong with
nice.
me.
It's very nice of you, John. All right, so still waiting on my pool cover 7 months later. Well, and that's fair. However, if they get their pool in January, we'll say, and they get it built in March, and this may not be the case on this particular one, then they will pay for their cover, but we will install it exactly at the time that we winterize the pool, which can be October. So actually, I guess it could be 10 months in that, or 11 months in that. If somebody wants their pool closed in November, it could be 11 months. In this case, I'm sure that there was something that happened that they weren't they were unhappy about, and not really sure what happened on that.
If I recall, there's a video that we recorded that we don't order the pool cover until it's finished, because it's not like you just have you can't just say, hey, I need a large pool cover for this large pool.
Right.
I need an extra large. It's measured for the
Right.
specifications of each. Every pool cover is a custom pool cover.
And when it gets difficult is if somebody has a fountain around their pool, so an immovable object that's right up to the edge of the pool, and the cover needs to span across the edge of the pool about a foot.
Hmm.
And then typically ordered covers are safety covers, and safety covers have springs that are screwed into the concrete.
Right.
And the safety side of it is the springs hold up humans and animals if they were to get on top of the cover. Well, in order to have that cover made around, say, a fountain, have you ever seen those sheer descent waterfalls?
Yeah.
They sit right up on the edge of the pool and they may be 6 feet,
Right.
4 feet wide. Well, the cover has to be made around that obstruction. And then if you get in on a curvy pool, then it could take lots of back and forth between us and the manufacturer to get it right. And sometimes we get it wrong.
Right.
And guess who pays for that?
Right.
Guess who has 2 thumbs and pays for that? Those guys. Right. So, and I could see it. It could be extremely frustrating, and it could be just something that fell through the cracks. And so this might be a good time to say that my number is 731-431-8199. If you ever have any problems, I live to take care of customers. And this is one of the things that maybe had they had that number, I would have been able to help people.
Yeah, if
kinda
they called
see
it
through
month
them.
3 and said, "Hey, what's going on, Brad?"
Yeah, and they shouldn't
Not
have
that
to.
it's their fault, but
No, and they shouldn't have to. But there is that.
you can.
Mm, yeah, and so these people get a survey right after the pool is finished, and this customer, I wonder what they would say today. Um, had I known how frustrating this would be, I would have gone somewhere else. Well, that's fair, and I, I don't know what to say other than I hope by now that you don't feel that way, and I can assure you that if anything ever happens with your pool that is out of warranty, and you see the way we take care of our customers in out of warranty when we're not truly obligated to take care of our customer, how well we take care of the customer. I hope by then they will see exactly uh, why that it was still a great choice to go with us, even though it was frustrating. And I'll say this: if this was an in-ground pool, I would never tell anybody that this is going to be the happiest thing you've ever embarked on, because
Right.
sometimes it's just not.
It's a construction project.
It is, and some people have said it's like building a house, but worse. And I think it could be worse because you have to be involved. And like when we finished building our house, I would have people coming into but we weren't totally finished, but we had to move in. Long story, but I'd have people coming in to the house while I was sitting there eating breakfast with my kids.
Right.
So unnerving. So I understand you want people out of your yard. I do. When people come to my house to work, I leave.
Right.
I'm just that way. Some people like to look over and make sure everybody's doing everything right. I trust that they've got a job doing this. I'm going to trust that they do wrong, and I've got their phone number if they don't. So I get that, and it can be extremely frustrating. And we try. Like, another thing I live, eat, sleep, and breathe is productivity and finishing jobs. And I have metrics for my construction team, and they actually get more bonus if they finish the job, finish an in-ground pool in 3 weeks. It only happens probably 40% of the time, I would say. But that's our benchmark that we work on. And so I'm not really sure what the.
And it might even be that they had
root
a
of this
frustrating
was.
time for something else. It's difficult reading some of these to know why they were frustrated.
Yeah, and I think we could have done this more justice had we gotten the exact customer and known the category of pool. I should have asked ChatGPT to.
I'm surprised you didn't have us call the customer while we were
Exactly.
here.
Have chat. Call it. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to frustrate you some more by
Right.
putting you on a podcast.
Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to get these people on the podcast. We
See
need
if
to,
someone someone that had a really
Yeah.
bad experience, if they would come on and
that could
kind of
be
highlight like 3 or 4 of them.
like if they were still amped about it, and they were coming at us on the thing, it'd be hard. I'd be saying, John, I really want you to edit this, but you couldn't do it.
Right.
I think people would watch that
Without edits. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could always go live.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. That's not a bad idea. Okay, so Okay. Well, this is, I think, all of the ones that
That
they
was the
have
ones that
so
we
far.
pulled out for
Right.
that, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess the moral of this story, the Aesop's fable of all of this, is that you sincerely want to get better. We've actually we've put this into, and there's another podcast with Jamie and Pat on it where we talked about serve,
Mhm.
our new core values. Used to be feed, now it's serve. And the very last E stands for exceed expectations of the customer to and that's what really we want to do with every single project. And what we're doing here by doing the surveys, by exposing this on a podcast, by saying these are the things that we want to exceed your
Right.
expectations. We want to get better. You know, you with your phone number again. What
Right.
is it?
Oh, it happens to be 731-431-8199. And when I do this, I'm thinking you're going to put the
Yeah,
character graphics up on the video, and you
but you don't know
always
that I might put it over here.
right. Seven- yeah. So yeah, and when we get the survey results in, which we do, it's just automated. So when you get a customer, when you get it, when you
That's easy for you to
you can
say.
you can edit this part out. Surely to
No, I'm gonna
goodness,
leave this in,
I
and
know, and you always
this is
do
the
that.
hook.
This is when I really feel
We're gonna
stupid, right?
start right here,
God.
and then this will be the hook, and then we go into the episode.
Every customer that goes through a build process gets this survey, and it's still going on. It's ongoing, and I love the positive stuff, but the positive stuff is, to me, it's like you're supposed to do
Right.
that, right? And so the constructive criticism is so welcome, and it challenges us to get better. And
And a lot of these are construction criticism.
I see what you
Sorry,
did
I
there. Yeah,
don't
really
know.
good.
I like
Wow.
wordplay.
Yeah. So we're going to get better. We're going to take those surveys, and we're going to continue to receive them. We've had some really glowing surveys so far this year. But again, it's a year where the weather's been good, and we've been allowed to get a lot of work done. And so we haven't been so backlogged as a result. And people, and I do think that some of the things we're put into play have helped people give us the nicer survey results as well. And if you look online and look at all of our reviews, if there is a negative one, I go in and do everything I can to make it better for
And
them.
respond to it.
And sometimes people will change the review, and you don't see that. In some ways, I wish they would leave them
But
because they can see what we've done.
that's a good point. We were also looking. We were looking at the surveys. We were also looking at the reviews that we have. And we're considering doing another podcast, just reading some of the 1-star reviews and looking, and
Oh
then
yeah, we should
talking
do
about
that.
the things we did to address. I use the term royal we. It wasn't always me. It's this guy, but the what was done to correct that 1-star review
Oh,
and to make it better. And one of the things that I noticed that I think is neat is you directly tie the 5-star reviews to employee performance. And what's the bonus you give for a 5-star review that somebody gets? It's
well, it depends on the I guess the category.
okay,
Construction, yeah, a service gets a review. Retail gets a
but they get a
maybe
monetary
service gets a
bonus. So
monetary bonus. Yes.
it varies
Well,
between where you're at. But
and here's what gets on my nerves,
okay,
like because I've had a text come to me that said something like, well, I had a customer screenshot a text, and they said, um, I get a bonus for a five
oh,
star review, and I tell
that's not
people it
how.
is not that way. It
Right.
is not that way. That you give excellent customer service where people want to give you a review. You
Right. You
don't
don't tell them even
no.
though we're exposing that, but
Yeah,
the
well, I hate to.
idea is to incentivize people giving excellent customer service and get an organic 5-star
Well,
review without telling
yeah,
people.
but the other thing is do you think somebody's going to lie? Or you think somebody's going to get on there and lie because somebody did a bad job for them?
Right.
I pray not,
Yeah.
because that's not the way it's set up. Is it? I incentivize it, but I tell them that you give that you give excellent customer service to make it to where they want to give you the review.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think a lot of companies do this. I just did an insurance transaction, and at the end of it, I got a survey, and it said, "Hey, if so and so did a good job, if Steve did a good job, do you want to give him a bonus? Do you think does he deserve a free lunch? Does it like it?
Oh,
It even
really?
let me select
Huh.
what prize to give him, whether or not I don't know, if he ever got it, because it's not like he's like, "Hey, thanks, John."
Yeah.
But I was like, "Hey, he really handled me. Give him a free lunch."
That's really cool. But and now another thing that is totally exposes us in this light that I think balances it out is the automation of Service Titan, that it sends out the survey, or not didn't send out Service Titan doesn't send out the survey, but it sends out the, hey, do you want to give this guy a 5-star review?
Right.
So the people who aren't happy, they'll immediately
Oh,
get
yeah.
on there and give the 1-star review. So it's an automated thing. I don't know that we can.
They
Yeah.
actually say that for every positive review, they typically people don't give positive reviews as quick as they want to give negative reviews.
No, exactly.
You know,
Yeah, well, because
you're real
supposed
quick
do
to
that,
jump
right.
on there and be like, these people screwed up. They did terrible. I hate them.
Right.
As compared to, hey, what a wonderful job they did. Like
Right.
it's like 1 to 5, I think is the number, if I
Well, and-
recall.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to that.
No, and
You got to
then-
verify everything now.
Yeah, but in the I've also read something that if there's one person that's saying something wrong, that there's 9 or 10 other people that just didn't say anything.
Well, yeah.
So there's when there's smoke, there's fire, and the other side of that coin too. So
And
we'll
I
get away
guess
with that.
now would be a good time to ask people, if you liked this podcast, leave me a review so that I can finally,
5-star
maybe I
review
can get
for
in on some
John.
of this pay action. That'd be cool. I
Right.
can get some of those
Or if you
bonuses.
want to mean tweet us, get in the comments.
Yeah, tell us how terrible we were.
Maybe we'll read it sometime.
Yeah, just make those suggestions down below. Tell us the things that you would like to see. That we don't get a whole lot of comments.
Yeah. Or if you
We're
wanted
still-
to say something nice to lift our spirits, it's been pretty
Right.
tough.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. But we appreciate you joining us once again on another Aloha Pools and Spas Deep Dive podcast. And we appreciate your subscription. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll
means.
get these. But we do more than just this. We try to put out some other informational videos on YouTube. We try to do some things that are like your pool school to help answer some of these questions that people have. It's on there. Dig deep, look at our website, alohapoolsusa.com, and find some of the videos that we release there, and leave us feedback on these if you want to about those. So other than that, I would say dive safely.
And do better.
Yes.